In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we help you work out how to recruit and retain the right people in your MSP. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. And today I'm absolutely delighted to have Dean Watmough from Humnize on the podcast. And they are a recruitment agency who specifically focus working with MSPs. Welcome to the show, Dean.
Hey, Ian, how are you?
I am very good today. Thank you. So today we are going to be giving the listeners a little bit of I don't know whether we call it a checkup from the neck up, but certainly some tips and tricks to help them to recruit and retain the right people. You know, we've got a big opportunity out there at the moment, post-pandemic, loads of different ways of working. MSPs have generally fared pretty well, but there's still a few fundamental mistakes and I guess changes that we need to be aware of in the tech space, in the way that people are working. And the way that people are working has changed, but that also means that the way that people recruit and work, you know, has changed as well. But before we get into the meat and the bones on the show today, do you want to explain a little bit, Dean, about who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Certainly, yes. So I'm the co-founder of Humnize. We are a recruitment agency with a difference. We do specialize in that MSP space, but we all come from the MSP space as well. So me and the team, we've either owned or worked in MSPs. I learned the hard way the importance of having the right people in your business. That's a story for another time, but it does mean it's really motivated us, and we're very passionate about helping other MSPs not make the same mistakes that I did. Excellent
stuff. And, you know, we've had a couple of conversations now just in preparation for today's show. What makes you different from other recruitment agencies that are either working in the MSP space, because there's a few things that you fundamentally do that are quite unique, aren't there? Which is kind of why you're on the show, I guess.
Yeah, I think, look, I've been on the receiving end of the recruitment sector, good and bad, in various roles. We're not a hit and hope type of agency. We don't just go for volume and chuck CVs over the fence and hope that some stick. We tend to work exclusively with our clients. Because of the technical capabilities in the team, we do a lot of the heavy lifting. So we will we'll run attraction campaigns. We will screen and technically screen all candidates. We can throw personality tests into that mix as well as the technical assessment. So when we do submit someone to one of our clients, they will be very well screened. They'll be a very good fit for the role, and also the culture and the team dynamics within the client's business. So we're making it much easier. We're saving a shed load of time for the client, typically an MSP business owner or someone who's running a team within an MSP, or someone who's kind of in an HR function. So yeah, we're doing that heavy lifting and we're saving them a lot of time.
Excellent stuff. And you know, the things that you're talking about there about, you know, understanding, you know, who they are, where they want to work, you know, their technical capabilities and all these other things. You know, many times when we're talking to MSPs in the Growth Hub community, they're in a rush to fill, or they've been waiting for so long to fill a plate, and then panic can set in, can't it? And then before you know it, you kind of overlook a lot of the telltale signs and a lot of the red flags that would normally come up in the recruitment process. And you recruit someone, you end up paying a fee, they end up in a pup, for want of a better phrase, and then 3 months later you're realizing that they're actually not a good value mix for the business, and you're kind of back to square one, aren't you?
Yeah, and again, that comes down to time. I think many MSP business owners, many of the people you work with, they're time poor. They're in the weeds still. They're busy, you know, actually on the tools, so to speak. And yeah, there can be that rush to get a bum on a seat.
Yeah.
because the impact when someone leaves, especially if they're a well thought of member of the team, someone who you've been relying on, it impacts you in a big way, and ultimately the rest of the team and the business owner has to take up the slack. We always say recruitment is a full-time job that you don't have the time to do.
Yeah.
It gets tagged on to someone's to-do list. There's often a lack of consistency in the process, if there is a process. And who likes putting an ad out on Indeed or another job board and getting a swathe of CVs who are actually nowhere near a match for what you're looking for? So then you go to an agency or several agencies, which creates more confusion, takes up more of your time, to the point where when you do find someone, it's just a relief. And you bring them in. You don't spend much time on the onboarding process or the induction process. And, it's not always the candidate's fault if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's a dual responsibility. So, and that's what we're all about. We cover all those bases. We help with the onboarding. We talk about inductions. If you can't explain to a candidate what their onboarding and induction program is going to be, you've not thought about it. They should know what their first week, first month, first 3 months, first 6 months is going to look like.
So important.
Absolutely. And it's so overlooked because, like I said, it's that relief. Wow, we've found someone. Let me get back to my day job.
Yeah, get cracking. Let's just get him in and solve my problem of me being busy and fill it in. So, right, okay, let's get into the meat on the bones here. What are you seeing as key differences from the pandemic? And I guess, we're now going into this economic crisis, cost of living crisis, whatever you want to call it, depends what the news wants to call it on any given day. But, uncertain times, I think, challenging and uncertain times for economies, I think is the best way to phrase it. But what are you seeing as the difference in the market and the workplace now that the MSPs need to be aware of when recruiting the right staff?
You've hit the nail on the head, really, right at the outset. The pandemic drove the move to the cloud. So more businesses want to move to the cloud, which also drove or created a shortage of technical talent. There's a lot of work out there, but not enough people to fill the roles. So it's a very buoyant market. It's very much a candidates market, candidate driven. We're seeing candidates getting multiple offers. That didn't used to be the case. We're seeing candidates rejecting offers. And again, that's new. If you want to recruit good people, as much as the candidates needing to impress you as the employer need to also be impressing them. What we are finding as well is people want flexibility more than ever before. If not fully remote, they certainly want some kind of hybrid flexibility with the role. People realize they don't want to be commuting, not just the time impact in their day, but the cost of the commute as well. So wherever possible, you need to be considering how people want to work, but also how you can help them cover costs that they were covering themselves beforehand. In terms of that flexible, more remote way of working, it's having a negative impact as well.
Yeah.
Particularly on, it's been well documented and talked about a hell of a lot, mental health, but also the junior and entry level side of the market is really suffering because they are working remotely and more flexibly. They're missing out on so much that they would have been able to take part in an office environment. They're not hearing those conversations. They can't go sit at someone's desk and learn. So that's something again which really needs consideration. I've seen that myself in previous roles when we've got younger members of the team. It's difficult to develop them as you would if you were working alongside them. So there's some great things. Look, I love working remotely, but I do like to get together with the team on a regular basis, and I think that's so important. We do miss that day-to-day connection. Really, it's most definitely a candidates market, and I think we need to give a lot of consideration to how we are working with remote and hybrid teams.
Yeah, I think you've raised some really, really good points there. My eldest son works from home. And, not the way that he's working. And he goes into the office. And there's no point going in the office because most of his team's in Europe anyway. And, all the conversations we remember having in our mid-20s about, how'd you do that? And what do you need to do to this? Hey, what are they doing over there? There's a new thing coming on. And being part of that community, being part of that relationship. And I can't help thinking that, as years to come, that this is going to affect, the quality of relationships between people and the potentially the structure for business kind of thing moving forward. I know it's a bit deep and heavy, but I think it's that important that you and I couldn't be doing what we're doing today, and the same with Stuart. We had this conversation yesterday. If I didn't learn what I learned when I was up to about 35, maybe early 40s, I just didn't have that experience. Now, could I have got that experience sitting at home looking at a computer? I really doubt that. I really doubt that. So it's going to be interesting to see, how that affects not only at the moment it's kind of affected the physical logistics of the workplace, hasn't it? But what's that going to look like in 5 or 10 years' time when it really is the norm? And how's that going to affect the people performance, isn't it, and leadership?
Yeah, isolation, it causes problems. We've touched on mental health a second ago, but there's lots of ways to get through that and overcome it. And organising regular team meetups, as I said, team events, team socials. There are lots of ways you can do it. You can, we go and meet in, because we all work from home, we go and meet either nearby someone's house. So, we take it in turns to get around. We're heading up to the northeast next week to meet with one of the team on their turf, if you like. And it's nice. It's nice to be out of the office. It's nice to get out there. And, nothing like a bit of a car journey to be having a good chat with a teammate and a catch up.
Yeah, exactly. So look, previously, it used to be, look, come and work for us. This is what it's all about. But now you need to be an even more attractive employer, and one that it's now turned into the candidates market where they're picking and choosing on why they should work for you and what's in it for me, and is there going to be enough money, and what's the development. And we actually had a situation, we hear this quite a bit actually, so it's not really a situation where when people hear about the growth aspirations of some of our clients and the program that they're in, and they're going to be doing the vision and the mission and really, really identifying the purpose of the business, people stay even for less money. And we're hearing this kind of like on every couple of weeks we hear someone talking about this now. But it's down to us as the MSP to position ourselves, isn't it? And to become that attractive employer that people want to come and work with. So what do we need to be doing differently? What are some of the key things that are absolutely no-brainers that the MSP needs to be considering in their recruitment process?
Well, one of them you just hit on the nail on the head straight away, which is share the vision.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be part of the journey. I had an old chief exec who he would always save that really interesting, exciting stuff for the boardroom, and the rest of the team, the guys, that are in the trenches day in, day out, that you can't build your business without. They were unaware of any of the exciting things, but also any of the potential issues that the business was facing. People pull together when there's a collective cause, and everyone's on the same page. So I think that's really important to share good and bad. One of the things in recruitment as well is managing expectations of candidates. Don't be afraid to tell them what the challenges are going to be in the role. People want interesting work, and I think that's a really key thing, right? Make the work interesting. We've got a client who they're actually going to, the biggest issue is in first line. Yep. Particularly now it's hybrid and remote, because they are logging and flogging tickets, and who wants to do that for long? You don't want to be in those roles where you feel there's no scope for progression and you're not learning anything because it's all repetition. So they're actually outsourcing first line, and they're creating pods of second and third liners to do exactly what we talked about earlier: mentor, bring people through, let them experience, technical issues that are above what they typically be doing, and it creates collaboration and teamwork. So I think that's very important to, just consider, just because you've done things a certain way all the time doesn't mean that's the right way or it can't be improved. And that leads to better service for your clients. The more engaged your people are, the better the service is going to be. But things we see a lot, really, and I guess that's what's the most important thing. Let me give you some real world examples here. One of the things we do a lot for our clients is we do the market research for them. We gather market intelligence, whatever the role is that they're recruiting for. We go out and we see what the competition are doing, what are the salaries, what are the benefits that should be offered, and what's the candidate market like out there in their locale, if you like. They also have to help themselves, and if you're not presenting an attractive image online, candidates do their homework. They do their due diligence more than ever before. As I said, it's very much a candidate-driven market. So, I'm sure you talk to your clients about how to market and present themselves. It's so important. You don't have to have a careers portal. It helps if you do, but if you're only recruiting infrequently, still have a page on your website which talks about what it's like to work in that place, and keep that updated, and keep pushing out some information about what it's, your employer brand. There's employer branding's been around for a long time, but it's not rocket science. It's just, making your business look like a nice place to be. But I think it's also very important to walk the walk and not just talk about it. So, invest in the office. You might not have huge budgets, but ergonomic chairs, giving you guys good tech to work with, nice monitors, nice screens, you're an IT firm, technical people enjoy those things. So create that kind of environment. We've got a client they've got a location problem. They work with highly secure government contracts. So people have to be at the location to be able to log into the systems. So they spent a lot of money on the office because they know people need to come in there, and it looks fantastic. It sells itself. Another client don't have that similar budget, but they bought ergonomic chairs and the desks that raise up and down. Again, it's a small investment, but it says a lot. It says that you're thinking about it, the environment that people, are going to be in for 8 hours a day sometimes. I think a key thing as well is be authentic. Be yourselves. Know who you are. Know what your values are and live those values. Don't just stick them up on the wall and that's it. You've got to demonstrate those values because that's what resonates with people. It's not always about money. If you can't pay top salaries, what else can you offer? There are some quick wins in there. Give an extra couple of days holiday. Put some flexibility in there. Give a good pension. I know it costs, but it does make a difference. People want to know about these things more than ever, particularly more senior candidates. Can you give a profit share? We've got a client that they give a profit share, and when they win, the whole team wins and shares in it. The same client, actually, when you've been with them for 5 years, they offer you a month sabbatical. Exactly, but people go and tick the bucket list. They really do. And that team, their retention rate is fantastic. It's off the scale. Nobody wants to leave that business.
In your people, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah, but tickets to events, doesn't have to cost the earth. And I think, free lunches now and then is important. Training, developing, certifications. That costs money. You can get vendor support for those things. It doesn't have to cost you the earth to do it. But again, it's part of demonstrating that you take your development of your people seriously. Yeah, and the one that my biggest bugbear is a job description is not a job advertisement.
I love it.
A list of bullet points on a job page or on a job board is not engaging. It's about how are you going to get the attention. So understand who you want in the role. Who's your perfect candidate? Look at your existing team. Who would you want to replicate if you could? Ask your team what it's like to work here, good and bad. And that will help you form a picture of who would be the perfect fit for this role. And then you start thinking, okay, what's going to attract them? And that helps you with your, writing your job ad. Stick it in Chat GPT if it will do the job for you with a little bit of editing and direction. So yeah, you do need to work hard to attract people. And think about it, D&I, very, very, it's very, very important that that's taken seriously. I think, just 2 more points on this, actually. Something which I see from all shapes and sizes of organisation, which does let them down, is get your contracts right, your employment contracts.
Right, okay, yeah.
Candidates are reviewing those. If you've got anything that's confusing or you've not got consistency across your team or across your organisation, they're going to pick up on that. And all that does, it slows the process of securing that candidate down, because rather than it being a review and sign, it's a review, question, come back. And if it's a larger organization, it'll have to go to HR, and that just slows that process down. And with it being a candidate driven market, candidates are having multiple offers, you want to be able to be first in the race to secure the people that you want.
Exactly.
And the very last point, don't be maverick. Take it seriously. Think through the process of how you're going to interview people. We had an ex-client, ex for a reason, would find great candidates, but then they'd kind of have a really off-the-wall interview style. Even one time starting with, are you a show pony or a workhorse? It just doesn't set the scene, you know? If you're not the best person to be interviewing, don't do it.
No, exactly that.
Get someone from your team who, you know, let them sit with your team, you know, let them spend half a day in the business, getting a feel for it.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thanks for that, Dean. Talk to me about the importance of employer brand and what is it and why is it so important?
Most businesses are focused on marketing to prospective clients to win new business.
Yeah.
An employer brand is focused on attracting people into your business. I've always felt employer branding content is as important to attracting people as it is to attracting clients. The old adage, people buy people. You know, we have a quote on our website, no matter what business you're in, you're always in the people business. You can't get away from it. And you work with clients, you form relationships with clients, just like you form relationships with your team. So employer branding is about, just as you would present your company brand, it's how you present your brand as why people would want to work here. It's very important in terms of values. I mentioned earlier being authentic, living your values. So think about why you started that business in the first place. You know, is it giving the best possible service that you can to your clients? Is that one of your values? Is it that you treat people fairly? You know, do you care about the environment? You know, whatever your values are, it's called a value proposition. That then shapes your employer brand. But those values also resonate with your clients because that's how you attract them in the first place. You build, you know, there's some commonality. They trust you. They have faith in you. And so those values run through your business for both attracting new employees, but also to attract candidates. What we see a lot of is, I've always believed that human-based stories, human-based content. You know, we always talk, you know, why do we write a case study? We write a case study because it tells a story about how you've helped a client. Okay, and that resonates with other clients who may be in a similar sector, for instance, or have the similar issues. So why not tell stories about your team, where they came from, what their background was, what their interests are? Because again, that helps. That when someone leaves your business, we talked about this earlier, it creates a gap, particularly if they had good relationships with some clients. And when the client makes a phone call, oh, I normally talk to John. Oh, I'm really sorry, John's no longer with the business. What? He knew us inside out. You know, so that the personal touch, particularly in the smaller MSP market, is very, very important. So that's really what employer branding is. It's about the people side of your business.
Yeah, we've touched on this a couple of times, and I've mentioned this quite often to our clients, is that recruitment's a marketing process, isn't it? You know, and you're just talking about value proposition, you're talking about, you know, the why, the content, how you bring people in, how you build a case study for people to resonate. Oh, I would like to do that. And what, you know, if you think about, you know, a blog on your website for your MSP, you're writing a blog because you want people to feel safe and secure, for example, because cybersecurity is the number one thing and you don't want to get hacked. You know, but likewise, you know, the case study and the employee page on your website is just as important because people are going to go, hey, that's me. I don't know much about IT, but I'd love to be as experienced as Dean or whoever it might be. And I'd love to be in that environment. Oh, look, they're having so much fun and they're having so much great fun. And in actual fact, one of our clients has just recruited someone. He's really, really struggled for many, many years to get the right people. He's come into the group and we've given him some referrals into some people to help him with that. He's now recruited someone and literally 2 out of the 3 people have said to him, I just loved your About You page because it told me that you'd been out on a boat and you'd done this. And it's not just about getting stuff. It's about being part of the community of that business and being part of the, you know, the family and the way that they work and all of that kind of stuff. And that's this whole branding thing, like your business brand, it's the employer brand, you know, and when we talk about the vision and values, it is for your clients, but it's also to make sure that you recruit the right people, isn't it? In terms of the values as well. So I really love that point. That resonates. We're screaming towards the end of the show, but there's one thing I do want to talk about, which no one's ever heard about before. And now you're going to explain, which is human-based content. But bearing in mind what I just said about marketing, many people might be able to guess where this is going. What's human-based content, and why do we need it in this process, Dean?
It's exactly what we just mentioned earlier. It's telling the people story. It's bringing a human touch to something. If any of the listeners go on to LinkedIn, look at the stories that typically are pumped out by IT firms. You mentioned cyber a second ago. They'll all be saying pretty much the same thing. The engagement rates are very low, very few reposts or comments, and the ones that are probably from people within that company themselves. The minute you see a story, and I checked this morning, there was a story by a tech firm, and they were talking about literally, our team does this, we work with these clients.
Me.
They had one repost, that was it. Further down, there's a story about a chap who is telling that he has been to Mexico to have a treatment for his multiple sclerosis. That received 4,231 likes at the time I looked at it, 254 comments and 125 reposts. He's still an IT guy.
Yeah.
But he's sharing a personal story.
Yeah.
And that is, there was something the other day about Down Syndrome Day. Again, bam, an avalanche of people in support.
Yeah.
Ultimately, no matter what happens, when a member of your team says, I need to go home now, my daughter's desperately ill in hospital, would you say, I'm sorry, no, you've got to resolve that first line ticket that's just come in? No, you drop everything, because ultimately we are human beings and we resonate and we'll do anything for anyone when they're in need. And that's what human-based content is for me. So it doesn't have to be dramatic. We had an instance when I ran an MSP, and this would be so rather than just talking about cyber, tell the story behind it. So we worked with a conveyancing firm. They contacted us. We think one of our clients has been hacked. I hope it's not come through us. Now, we were pretty confident because we had them very well locked down. So we spoke to that client on their behalf, and the story had come about because law firm had received an email from her saying that the monies that they had on account for her, she would like them to be transferred now. And here's the new account details. That rang an alarm bell. So thankfully they made contact. When we spoke with her, she'd not sent the email. She did recall that she'd received an email from the surveyors a while ago. She thought it was odd because the house sale had gone through several months before, but the email from the surveyors said that her report was ready. She didn't think about it. She clicked the link. Nothing happened. That was the last she heard. But that's how they got in. So we were able to establish that it was the firm of surveyors that had been hacked. But if it wasn't for our clients being well trained in what to recognize, that could have been a disaster, because that was several hundreds of thousands of pounds. So that's just an example of, don't just talk about, hey, we do cyber. Give some real world examples of how you've helped somebody with a potential cyber threat.
No, that's brilliant. Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And I think, and I know, we can rattle on for this for many, many hours. So we're probably going to drag you back into the vault at another time to give us some more of your amazing insights. The opportunity that we've got here is that we get this right. It's going to save you on recruitment fees. It's going to save your time. You're going to build a great business and not only have sticky retention with your clients from an MSP point of view, but also have sticky retention from your employees and build a great community, really, because everybody, enjoys working. One thing I would just do is I would just remind you that in episode 115, I ran a very short podcast just on how to retain people within your organization. And if this episode has lit a few light bulbs in your mind, then go and check that out as well. Just bringing this to a close. Again, thanks for your help and support today, Dean. Do you just want to share with everybody kind of how they can get hold of you if they want to continue the conversation about your methodology and what you can do to help?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You just go to Humnize, HUMNIZE.com. I thought it was a good name until I realized I have to explain it every time to people. But yeah, go to humanize.com. I'm sure they can get in touch through yourself as well if you'd be so kind. But look, we love giving out free advice. Recruitment agencies don't always have to charge to do a good job. We like to share information, help people out. And so, yeah, please feel free to get in touch. And thank you so much for the opportunity to talk today.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. And if as I say, if this has made you think a little bit more, right, this is just one part of growing your business, then I'm going to drop a link in the show notes here today to the MSP Mastery Quiz, where you can go and scale and score your business against our model. And you can see, kind of where your potential for growth is and potential for scalability. And it's absolutely free and it doesn't cost you anything. And you get a great little free report as well, which is brilliant. So look, Dean, thanks ever so much for your help and support. I look forward to catching up with you soon. You take care now.
Ian. Thank you very much.
So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love it if you could leave a rating and review on your favourite podcast platform. If you want to learn more about how to take your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, go faster, then come and join Stuart Warwick and myself in the Scale with Confidence Facebook group. The link is in the show notes. You go and enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.